Have you ever woken up at 3 in the morning, wondering how you will pay your bills when you can no longer work? That cold feeling in your chest is not just stress. It is a warning from your future self. The greatest fear for those over 50 is not death. It is the fear of becoming a burden to your children because you ran out of money. You might feel like you have failed because you did not start 20 years ago. The world tells you that if you are 45 or 50 and have nothing saved, it is over. They tell you to just accept working until you are 75. They are dead wrong. Starting late is a challenge, but starting wrong is a disaster. Today we are going to look at a strategic comeback plan designed for people starting after 40. We will discuss how 20 years of pure discipline can beat 40 years of mediocre attempts. I am breaking down a blueprint to help you retire with dignity, even if you are starting from zero today. Let us begin with a story of two different paths. A woman named Mary started investing at age 43 with only $8,000 in savings. Her coworkers started at age 25, but invested inconsistently for 4 decades. 22 years later, Mary retired at age 65 with $720,000. The coworker who started early but had no focus ended up with only half that amount. The late starter with a focused strategy beat the early starter with excuses. If you are 45, 50, or even older, you have more time than you think. Most people do the math incorrectly, or they do not do the math at all. Let us look at the actual numbers. If you are 45 years old and want to retire at 65, you have 20 full years. 20 years is not a short time. It is 2 full decades of compound growth. If you can invest $1,000 monthly at an 8% average return, you end up with $550,000. When you add Social Security on top of that, you are looking at a comfortable retirement. The problem is that most people compare themselves to someone who started at 25, and they feel hopeless. They think the game is already lost. But people who start at 25 often panic sell during market crashes or stop when life gets hard. You are starting now with intensity and focus. That urgency is actually your greatest advantage if you use it correctly. Every month now counts more than it did 20 years ago. You cannot invest in 1995, but you can invest in 2025. 20 years from now, you will be 65. Either way. The only choice you have is whether you will be broke or comfortable. But before we build your wealth, we must talk about what will destroy it. The first non-negotiable step is to eliminate every penny of consumer debt immediately. This means credit cards, personal loans, and car payments. I am talking about a scorched earth approach, where every available dollar attacks your debt. At age 45, every dollar going to interest is a dollar stolen from your retirement. If you carry $15,000 in credit card debt at 18% interest, you are burning $2,700 every year. Imagine that same money invested for 20 years at 8% growth. That debt just cost you $125,000 of future wealth. When you are young, debt is a mistake you can recover from. When you are over 45, debt is a nuclear threat to your survival. You have zero tolerance for interest payments from this moment forward. Either you eliminate the debt fast, or you accept working forever. The math does not allow for a middle ground. Once the debt is gone, you have a legal advantage that younger people do not have. The government created extra room specifically for people who started late. These are called catch-up contributions. If you are 50 or older, you can put an extra $7,500 into your 401k every year. That brings your total annual limit to $30,500. For an IRA, you get an extra $1,000 in catch-up room. Most people over 50 leave thousands of dollars in tax advantages on the table because they do not know this rule exists. The government is literally giving you a head start to catch up. If you max out these contributions for 13 years, the math is staggering. You could retire with over $700,000 from these catch-up provisions alone. You might think this is impossible on your current salary, but if you cannot find a way to make this work, you are not retiring on time anyway. The reality is that you must either increase your income or cut your expenses until the math works. Now let us talk about your investment strategy, because it must be different from someone in their 20s. Late starters often make one of two critical mistakes. They either become too aggressive to catch up fast or too conservative because they are afraid of losing what they have. Both of these paths lead to failure. At 45, with 20 years left, you still need growth. You cannot be 100% in bonds because your money will not grow fast enough to beat inflation. But you cannot be 100% in stocks because a market crash at age 63 would be devastating. You need a calculated balance. A common starting point for late starters is 70% stocks and 30% bonds. This gives you growth early on and stability as you approach the finish line. Imagine two people during a market crash. The person with 100% stocks panics and sells everything at the bottom. The person with a balanced portfolio stays calm because their bonds held steady. The balanced investor recovers in 3 years and retires on schedule. The aggressive investor loses half their portfolio and never recovers. You do not have the luxury of time to wait 10 years for a full recovery. This is why you must avoid picking individual stocks or following hot tips. You are starting late, which means you cannot afford any gambling mistakes. One major stock pick gone wrong could obliterate years of progress. The safest and most reliable path is through index funds only. Buying the entire market through an S&P 500 index fund gives you instant diversification. You are buying pieces of thousands of companies at once. If one company fails, it does not matter because you own all the others. Professionals with research teams often fail to beat the market index over 20 years. You certainly do not need that extra stress in your life. Boring index investing wins because it is consistent. At 45, you need the reliable path, not the exciting one. Now we must address the most difficult part of the strategy. If your current income barely covers your bills, where does the investment money come from? At age 45, you have something younger people do not have. You have 20 years of experience, skills, and professional networks. You must monetize this expertise aggressively. You should be negotiating your salary every 2 years using market data. Do not just hope for a small annual raise that barely covers inflation. If you are underpaid, you must find a better opportunity or start consulting on the side. Every extra $1,000 you earn and invest monthly becomes nearly $500,000 in 20 years. One strategic career move could fund your entire retirement. Stop competing on energy and start competing on deep expertise. If increasing your income is not enough, you must downsize your lifestyle now. Do not wait until you retire to move to a smaller home or a less expensive area. Every month you spend in an expensive lifestyle is a month of compound growth you are sacrificing. If you move from a large house to a moderate apartment and save $1,000 a month, you are creating massive wealth. That freed up capital invested for 20 years is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Most people plan to live large now and downsize later. That is backwards. Strategic discomfort for 15 years creates permanent comfort for 30 years of retirement. It is a trade-off between a big car today and financial freedom tomorrow. You cannot have both when you are starting from zero at 45. The math of compound interest is a law of nature. It does not care about your feelings or your hard work. It only cares about time and consistency. So let us look at your 7-day action plan. Day 1 is about facing the truth and listing every debt you owe. Day high is about creating a nuclear timeline to eliminate those debts. Day 3 is checking your retirement accounts and enabling catch-up contributions if you are over 50. Day 4 is setting up an automatic monthly investment into a total market index fund. Day 5 is auditing your career and identifying how to increase your income by $10,000 this year. Day 6 is looking at your housing and transportation costs with brutal honesty. And Day 7 is committing to the path and ignoring the voices that say it is too late. You are not the person you were 20 years ago. You are wiser and more disciplined now. That discipline is the fuel for your comeback. The past is gone, and you cannot change it, but you have full control over what you do today. 20 years from now, you will be 65 years old. The only question is whether you will be looking back with regret or looking forward with peace of mind. The choice is yours. Start today. Everything you need to succeed is already within your reach. It is time to take back control of your future. Focus on the math and ignore the noise. Your comeback starts now.